In study after study, money is often cited as one of the top conflict points in a marriage. Finances can be an emotional topic for couples, especially when money is tight. So it pays to get in the habit of discussing it on a regular basis, even if you keep separate finances. At stcumoney.org, find 6 tips for making the conversation easier.
Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business radio talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by STCU. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan McNeese, and here with me today is Kurt Stockwell from Well-Dressed Walrus, and they are primarily web design and development. Thank you for being with us, Kurt.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Tell me how you got to this position.
Well, my background is in graphic design. My business partner's background is in web development, and probably about 10 years ago, I started as a graphic designer creating websites and learned pretty quickly that I could make them look really good, but I couldn't make them work very well. And my business partner, Andy Dentone, was on the flip side. He could make websites work really well, but they were just extremely boring. And so
we'll talk to Andy about that.
Right, exactly. He will confirm that.
Okay.
So we kind of joined forces about 5 years ago and started Well-Dressed Walrus. We're a pretty good yin-yang team where the look and feel of the website is very engaging and very, incites a good reaction for a user, but it also works as it should.
Yeah. I got to stop you a little bit. Well-Dressed Walrus. Anybody would say, where did you come up with that name? That's an engaging name to begin with.
Right. That's something we get all the time. And in our industry, you kind of have leverage to have a weird name if you want to. Your law practice probably wouldn't be able to get away with calling yourself Well-Dressed Walrus Lawyers or something.
We could try it, but I probably agree with you.
But, so really the motivation behind having a name that was so unique was kind of threefold. One, we wanted to get a .com. So I wanted ourbusinessname.com. We didn't want a .biz or a .org or a .us, and one of our competitors had the .com, and you would mistakenly fall onto their website, and we're giving them business.
Right.
Second part of it, we wanted to be able to have a name that was so unique that we could get forwarding URLs. And what that means is, like for example, if you typed in welldressedwalrus.com, you could also type in wdwalrus.com. You could type in walrusboys.com, because that's what some people in kind of as we network, they call us the Walrus Boys.
Right.
So anytime we get someone...
so do you own those domains?
We own all those domains, and if you type any one of those in, it forwards to our URL.
You're going to get to the same place.
You get into the same place. And that's a nice little trick to be able to do as a company. But in this day and age where, you can get a website domain for $5 for a year, any kind of wild hair you have, you just go out and buy the domain. So a lot of those domains are snatched up. So, and then the third part of it was we wanted people to think we were kind of unique and creative and thought outside of the box when they first heard our name or saw our logo of a walrus with a monocle and a top hat.
I think you checked that box.
Yeah, we got it.
I think you got that part.
Nailed it.
If my memory serves, the way you and Andy originally met, tell me a little bit about that. I believe it's an interesting beginning.
Right. Yeah, we met at a barbecue in our neighborhood. We used to be neighbors. And I was looking for a developer, and he was looking for a designer, and we met at a barbecue and started talking, and he was like, oh man, I need to use your services, and vice versa. And so we kind of used each other's services for probably about a year and a half, and then went, let's go into business together, and it's worked out pretty well.
That's exciting. In primarily web development and design, so obviously a lot of creativity. Everybody you talk to when you're talking social media or websites, everybody talks about how do I optimize my website.
Right.
Is that something you're asked as well?
Absolutely. The thing that people always want to know is how do I get on the first page for a Google search, or when somebody's searching for my services, how do I get on page one? And that's SEO, or search engine optimization. There's two kinds of search engine optimization. There's organic and there's paid for. The paid for stuff is the things that you typically see when you do a search and you see 2 or 3, sometimes 4 ads at the very top, and those first things you're clicking on. Every time you click on that, the company is getting they're paying for that click. So you can pay to get yourself ranked. The thing that Google
do you think that works?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
So is that AdWords essentially?
Pay per click. Yeah, pay per click works. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. But more importantly, Google really changed the game in the late 90s, early 2000s when their algorithms made searches relevant. And Google's big thing, and of course they're the big monster as far as search engine optimization
Right.
goes, or search engines go rather. They're all about relevant content. So their algorithms will actually crawl your content and make sure that your messaging is not just stuffed with a bunch of keywords, but is conversational content, meaning it's readable by a human being. It's written for a human being, not for a search
Yep,
engine.
I understand. And then matching that up with whomever put in the search term,
Right.
are these a fit, rather than somebody put in such and such buzzword,
Right.
and yet there's a entire paragraph of just mumbo jumbo behind the scenes in a website.
Keyword stuffing used to be something that was done, as kind of a trick to trick search engines.
So
But
if someone's trying to do that,
they
does
will
that just not work
they'll
these
actually
days?
get penalized by the algorithms that Google has written will actually penalize you for that. So as far as optimization goes, the thing that's most important for someone to understand as they're creating a website is really with any marketing, you want to make sure that your message is coming across in a way that's clearly understood. And that can be done visually, and that can also be done with text. That could also be done with what's called UX, or user experience. We've all been on websites where it's pretty, it seems to be saying what I want it to read and kind of gather from this or that website, but it's hard. The website's hard to use.
Right.
It's hard to navigate. That poor navigation was what we'd call a poor UX, or a poor user experience. So there's really threefold. There's visual, there's user experience, and there's content that goes into a great website. And the more you do that, or the more you focus on that, that ups your organic SEO.
Okay, and that is interesting, because if you yourself, the business that's trying to create your own website, you might actually think, here's what I'm trying to say, and not only is this what I'm trying to say, here's what I am saying, but then someone like yourself that it's objectively
Sure.
looking at it might come back and say, that's not even what you're saying. That's
Right.
not what is being properly
Exactly.
perceived.
Yeah, it's very common as we all do it as businesses. We kind of get some blinders as to what our message really is, or what we feel like we're saying, and then what the public is perceiving. And it's just it happens. We have a process that we do with every single website that we produce called a content audit.
So if a client comes to you and starts working with you, this is a systematic process that you go through?
Yep, because we say that content drives design. If your messaging isn't right, it doesn't matter how pretty your website is. If you can't use the website, it doesn't matter how much what we call whiz bang is in your website.
That's a good word.
Things that are kind of as you're navigating through the site, things are sliding in and sliding out, and there's this beautiful picture or this like really interesting element of the website. But if the content and the messaging isn't right, the website's not usable.
That seems like maybe what used to happen in the 2008, 2009, et cetera, with like Flash media.
Sure.
And that's
Yep.
kind of gone by the wayside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. HTML5 is kind of the answer to Flash, and Flash had a lot of momentum because it was pretty to look at.
Right.
But search engines really couldn't read it very well, quote unquote, read it.
Yeah, it
or
almost
crawl
went
it.
undetected, right?
It almost went undetected. Yeah, it was almost kind of like a little movie file within your website. But the reason why content is important is it not only creates a better user experience for the person on your website or the user on your website, but our process of a content audit really helps the business kind of understand why do I even have an online presence?
What am I trying to accomplish
Right.
here? What's the purpose?
Right. We always tell people, you can't throw a dart at the wall and then draw a bullseye around it and pat yourself on the back. You need to know what's your end goal for any of your marketing. One common mistake that a lot of businesses will make is it easy to go on to Wix or any one of these other build-it-yourself websites and create a website, yeah, the tools are there.
Which are kind of a drag and drop, so it looks like the customer's probably thinking, hey, this is similar to my social media. I just cut and paste.
Exactly. And the commercials that are put out there by those different create-your-own website tools make it look extremely easy. And if you spend enough time, you can build your own website. But really, if you want it to be something that's engaging and really tells your message correctly and is built in a right way using all web standards that Google and the major search engines are looking for, you really need to trust a professional. And when we come in, many times we get through our content audit process and the client kind of sits back and goes, wow, I never realized how much was missing from my message.
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or I didn't realize that my message was so confusing. It makes so much sense in the shop talk that we use in our four walls, but when it goes out to the general public, we still have people saying, oh, I didn't even know you offered that service.
I think we were talking about this a little bit ago. I think sometimes, depending on what industry you're actually in, you get lost in your own lingo.
Absolutely.
And I think you need that objective outsider looking and saying, hey, I might not know your industry very well, but the words you're using don't resonate with me.
Right.
What about using these words, and maybe you ultimately will get your correct message across.
Right. And another thing that's important too when it comes to search engine optimization is understanding keywords. Now, I kind of spoke ill of keywords in the sense of keyword stuffing, but keywords are still very important. And part of our search engine optimization process is we do research with over 1,000 keywords. And then we kind of boil those down to the important ones that are relevant to your message. And that might boil down to less than 20, 15 out of those that study of 1,000 keywords. And it gives you an understanding of what does the public call what I do.
Let's hold right there because that's an interesting piece. Let's take a quick break and come right back with Kurt Stockwell of Well-Dressed Walrus.
You're listening to SpokaneTalksOnline.com, Spokane and North Idaho's business and community talk station.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy by taking advantage of rebates from Avista. Like 15 cents a square foot for new attic insulation, $35 for installing a smart thermostat, or $2,300 for switching from electric to natural gas heat. And all that savings reduced carbon emissions by more than 18,000 tons. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
A special thank you to our friends at Tom Sawyer Country Coffee, the official coffee supplier here at Spokane Talks Online.
What is a credit union? It's a cooperative, like a food co-op or a housing co-op, but the members share money. Credit unions offer the same services you'll find in a bank, but they're different from banks. First, credit unions are owned by their members, and credit unions are not for profit. Any money the credit union makes goes right back to the members in the form of low fees and good rates. To learn more, you can go to STCU's blog at stcumoney.org.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome back. Ryan McNeese with Business Talks here with Kurt Stockwell, a Well-Dressed Walrus. Right before the break, we were following up on keyword searches. Let's continue on that topic.
Right. So keywords are kind of the buzzword that most people who are trying to navigate their way through building a website seem to focus on keywords, or search engine optimization, SEO.
Yeah. How can Well-Dressed Walrus put me at the top of the list?
Right.
I want a quick fix. How do we do that?
Right. And the reality is, when it comes to search engine optimization, there's no quick fix. It's a marathon and not a sprint. You need to do the right things for an extended period of time. And when it comes down to keywords, part of our process, and we've seen this many times through businesses that we work with, they have no idea that certain users are looking for their services with a certain keyword string that they would never even have thought of. And so many times,
such a good point.
Many times we ask them, what keywords do you think people are using to search for your services? And we'll get, a list of keywords. And then we do the study and realize, oh, wow, a lot of those are there, but did you know that a lot of people are searching for your services with this keyword rather than that keyword? And sometimes we'll get a little blowback because they feel like, oh, well, that's
not the proper use of what I do.
That's not the proper use of the word. But the reality is people are using it.
Yep.
And another thing, too, is many times we're speaking into our phones to search for something online. And so many times people are using full sentences. And that's something else that Google has considered.
So some real common phrasing that you might
Right.
say, almost dictating versus typing.
Right. And so that's why conversational content is so important, is because people are speaking into their phones like a full sentence as I'm searching for something. And so there's ways that we can add those keywords to your content, and also ways that we can add it to the metadata in the back end of the website. And I won't put everybody to sleep talking about metadata, but the reality is that's where having a professional come in to do your website build is so important, because you need to understand what metadata is, and you need to understand how keywords work within my content, how they work within the back end, under the hood kind of the website.
How all the mechanics coexist.
Right.
Which I think when you're talking about phrasing, dictating into your phone and using maybe common language that someone might use about your industry, does that potentially lead us to let's chat a little bit about social media and how people on a daily basis interact with their company social media?
Yeah. So many times the common thought is, okay, the magic pill for my company to just get flooded with business is I'm going to be on the first page of Google, and I need a Facebook page. And then the
some are even saying, I've heard the talk out there, Inc. magazine, Fast Company magazine, do I even need a website anymore? Why can't I just use Google Plus and Facebook or Twitter, et cetera?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And and things are moving fast. Even Google Plus is not what it was a year or two ago. But the thing that's important to know about a social media presence is we always tell our businesses, whatever you can commit to that. So if you can commit to posting
consistency.
Right, consistency. If you can commit to posting a blog or posting on social media once a day, twice a day, commit to that. But one of the worst things you can do is have this huge surge on social media and then not touch it again for 6 months.
Almost binge posting, if you will.
Right, yeah. You can't binge on social media. And so, and another thing that's important too is social media, they say it's a cocktail party, not a trade show.
That's a great line.
Meaning that you should really only be, your message in your sales pitch per se should really be kind of more casual. Social media gives you an opportunity to show the personality of your business. People want to kind of see who the people are, that are making their widget or creating their whatever they're buying. They kind of want to get that, understand what that business is all about. Some of the most successful Facebook pages really only sell like less than 20% of the time, and 80% of the posts or 80% of what they're doing on social media is about culture, or is about giving back, or is about sharing tips and tricks that you might want to know as a business owner, for example. Or let's say you're into let's say you sell T-shirts, and really you should only be for social media purposes. You're only selling the T-shirts probably 15-20% of the time, but the rest of the time you're just kind of having fun with social media. And at the end of the day,
the image behind the brand, essentially.
Yeah.
And do you feel like taking that percentage to heart, how should businesses utilize Facebook proportionally to Instagram, to Twitter? Are those sites used for different reasons?
Sure.
Taking in mind the 20% you indicated, maybe the 80% is, hey, here's the imagery of my brand. Are those folks using those different social media sites in a different way?
It all depends on your business. For some businesses, social media is very difficult. For other businesses, social media is just kind of comes second nature to the culture of your company. We really, when we work with a company related to social media, we really get them to focus on one of the what we consider the two big ones for business, either LinkedIn or Facebook.
Okay.
And then Twitter.
I don't feel like LinkedIn has as much of that imagery that you're speaking of. Facebook seems to have that. Certainly don't want to talk LinkedIn down in the sense that it certainly has a purpose, very business-oriented. However, it seems like there's quite a trend towards Instagram where you have more of the visual appeal.
Yeah. Yes, and we feel like you should use those in conjunction to one of those main ones like LinkedIn or Facebook. Because Instagram, for example, you can. It's just kind of like a quick little hit, and you can share an image, or now you can do, video. But it's just kind of little quick touches. On Facebook, you can say a message a little bit more in depth.
A little more engagement.
On Instagram, you can post an article. Obviously, you can do that on Facebook too. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to understanding your business, and then we can kind of help guide someone through a social media strategy that works for your business.
Brings all those elements together.
Yeah.
Some folks probably would find this overwhelming. They say, "Hey, I'm in the plumbing business. I'm in the electrician business. I'm a doctor, accountant, what have you." Are you finding that these folks don't want to concentrate on the social media piece, they just want to concentrate on their trade, or are you finding that your clients really do want to engage in the social media part of their business?
It really comes down to spending that time to understand the business. And I feel like many people are reacting to creating social media just because I just know I'm supposed to do it. Well, why do you think you're supposed to do it?
And forget about the content.
It's just, people just keep talking about this is the magic pill that will just bring all this business in. Well, maybe that's not the case for your company. Maybe let's do baby steps here. What's your website like? Because going back to your comment about people feel like maybe a website's not even necessary, and in some cases maybe you can get away for a while with just a Facebook page. But at the end of the day, we like to give the analogy of a wheel, and your website is kind of the hub, and social media are the spokes.
Yep.
Really, the things that are keeping your that wheel strong is that hub. And when somebody wants to learn more about your company, more than just a quick little image on Instagram or a post on Facebook, they really want to understand your culture and your businesses and your services, your business and your services and the team, and maybe a dig in like a FAQ page. They're going to want to navigate back to that.
I would agree.
To that website.
It does. I do agree with you. I think it's the substance, it's the foundation. And then as you use your hub and spoke analogy, I think that's a good one, that the rest of these social media opportunities supplement that base, if you will.
Right.
What are you finding exciting about your industry right now? What would you classify as cutting edge? Is it the use of video in more of social media versus still shots, et cetera?
Video's great, and it's becoming easier and easier to add to a website, to stream from like Vimeo or YouTube onto your website. And video is, they say a picture's
worth 1,000
words, and video's worth, 10,000 words, whatever. But
that's a great way to say it.
If seeing an image and then watching a 45-second video, you can really talking about people understanding your culture and kind of who you are and becoming comfortable with the business, with your business as a potential client. Really, I guess really what it comes back to, a quote that we just actually put on our Facebook page. If you looked us up on Facebook, Well-Dressed Walrus, and go ahead and like our page if you wouldn't mind. Referrals come from who you are, not what you sell. And that's a quote that we just popped up on our Facebook page the other day.
Say that one more time. That's a good quote.
Referrals come from who you are, not what you sell. We want to, you really make your best connections with your clients when you have a relationship with them. And video is a great way in less than a minute to really portray who you are as a business. And it seems like, gosh, less than a minute, that doesn't seem like long. But there's a kind of two things going on there. One, if you click on a video on the homepage of your website and you've got a 6-minute video about your company, people are like, snore.
Oh my gosh, 6 minutes.
I'm not going to sit here for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So what we say is you need permission first. You can have that 6-minute video on your website, but you need permission first. Take that 6-minute video, get a chunk of it maybe for 45 seconds, and do a little snippet about your business. And video is a great way to get that initial engagement with someone, and then you really get an opportunity to show kind of who you are. And again, people want to buy. People want to buy from people who they feel like they have a good relationship with and trust with, and
who they have engaged with,
right?
A sincere engagement.
Video is a great way to do that.
Where can someone find you? Obviously, Well Dressed Walrus, but is it welldressedwalrus.com?
Welldressedwalrus.com. If you don't want to type all that out, you can do wdwalrus.com. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn.
Phone number?
So
you probably get less phone calls being in the digital media game than you do online.
Right. And we're if you wanted to swing by and say hi sometime, we're over in the Tapio Center, and the thing that really we want to get across to people is, we're really engaged in making sure that our clients are comfortable with the process that we're putting in place to build their website. There's been a lot of really poor experiences that people have had with a website that they've either built themselves or that someone's built for them, and that can be a really taxing, tough experience when you feel like you don't have trust in who's providing this service, and websites aren't cheap. And I would say if you are having your website built by someone and they want to build it for dirt cheap, you're going to get what you pay for.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we need to have you come back again because there's so much depth to this issue. I appreciate you being here, Kurt, and please come back and join us again. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.
In study after study, money is often cited as one of the top conflict points in a marriage. Finances can be an emotional topic for couples, especially when money is tight. So it pays to get in the habit of discussing it on a regular basis, even if you keep separate finances. At stcumoney.org, find 6 tips for making the conversation easier. Conversation easier.